Today I have another update on our cottage and another episode of we thought we were going to do it one way, but we ended up doing another. Hey there, my name is Yami. I am your Latina next door. Welcome back to Mi Casa. If you're new here, my husband and I moved ourselves and our 3 children to the state of Tennessee. We purchased 19 acres and we're currently building a tiny cottage for us to live in while we build our forever home. This cottage will give us a little bit more space while we build since we are expecting a baby number 4. Now, this cottage is eventually going to be my YouTube studio where I continue filming my videos, my DIY projects. However, we originally thought we were going to build it after our forever home, but because we're expecting a baby number 4, we thought it'd be better to go ahead and build it now so we have more space while we take our time building our farmhouse. I am currently inside of the cottage, as you can see, and we still have a lot of things to do. Back there, you guys, are all the gifts that I have received so far for my online baby shower. We are so excited. We just have them there for right now. We're going to start organizing them in time for the baby shower going live on the 24th. Now, when I first shared the plans of this cottage, I shared all of my inspiration, design boards, all of the color scheme, everything that I wanted to get done. One of those things was to add a front porch to our cottage. However, it was going to be a really huge undertaking for my husband, as he had never done one before, especially one with a roof. And so we thought that the best thing would be to have that done at the very end and just focus on the inside. However, if you saw our last video, you know that there was a really bad storm that came through. And honestly, we found ourselves always being hindered or set back by the weather here. And Nelson really needed an area to cut wood and put his tools out and just work undisturbed instead of inside of the cottage when we started building out the inside because we didn't want it to continue getting dirty and dusty with all of that construction debris. We love doing a lot of DIY stuff ourselves. We take on pretty big projects, but this one was a little bit too much for Nelson to handle in the amount of time we have left before our baby is due. So we decided to see if we can outsource it out to somebody. A couple of properties down, one of our neighbors had a front deck and, covered porch area done by a local gentleman who does work just like that. We got the number from him and gave him a call, hoping that he had time to fit us in his schedule. Luckily, he was able to come out in a few days, and we were able to show him exactly what I had in mind for the front porch. And this is what I showed him. I found this image on Pinterest and I did share this with you all as well in a previous video. Now, I wanted something very simple, but I wanted a nice large deck. Now, our cottage is actually a lot bigger than the one that you see in the image. However, I did want a front porch that covered almost the entirety of the front face of the cottage. The good thing is that this gentleman knew exactly what he was doing since this is definitely his type of work that he does on a regular basis, which helped us because he was able to put together the list of materials really quickly and send it over to our local supply house. From there, all we had to do was pay for it and they delivered the material for us, which made that part so simple. The next thing we needed to do was get the same type of roofing for the front porch that we had on our house. So we went back to the Mennonite community that we ordered our cottage from, and we ordered the same type of roofing metal in the same color so that it would match perfectly. Now, we were a little scared because at first, the metal was going to take a little bit longer than we had hoped it would to be delivered just because of the day we ordered it and when they actually received the shipments. But we had more rain come our way, so it delayed the build of the front porch anyways. So we were able to get all of the wood and all of the metal delivered just in time for them to start the build on the front porch. And let me tell you something, we were so happy it worked out that way. One thing that needed to be done though, before they started. Because Nelson needed to create the two trenches, one for the plumbing that needs to connect to the septic tank, and the other for the electrical that needed to connect to the main power that was coming into our property so that our cottage can get electricity. Luckily, Nelson was able to do that before they arrived to build the deck. So at least that part was done, because then now he didn't have to get underneath the deck in order to finish building the trench. Now, it was just the gentleman and his assistant. But let me tell you something, these guys worked so fast. We were really impressed. They came out early in the morning and then just started putting stuff together. Let me tell you something, if Nelson and I would have done that ourselves, we would have over engineered the entire thing, bought way more things than what we needed. And it would probably cost us twice as much because we just didn't know. So it was very fascinating to see them just get to work, get started in building this thing, just out of a picture that I showed them and measurements that we had agreed upon. One of the things that the gentleman had suggested was actually making the front porch deeper than what I had originally had envisioned or planned. When we started measuring things out, it was just a little bit too narrow. And so we went a couple of feet deeper than we had originally planned. And I'm so glad we did that, because we really did need those extra 2 feet in order for Nelson to be able to have his work table set up on the deck with room to spare. So we were so excited when these gentlemen were here building our deck. And let me tell you something, they did this in less than 2 days. There were several times where we would come out and they would ask us specific questions about the width of something. Like, let's say, how wide do you want the steps to be? We had to adjust that from our original plans because of the trenches that Nelson had to create for the septic and electric, but it still worked out. Also, I wanted to have a couple of areas reinforced on the roof line for either porch swings or even hammocks. And so we went ahead and added a couple of extra beams to support that extra weight when and if we decide to go ahead and do that. We thought it would be better just to get it knocked out now, even if it took us a little while to do that, because then it would just be done and it's all about just hanging a porch swing if that's what we truly wanted. Now, it was a good thing that Nelson also had put the extra bracing inside of the walls for the front deck roof. That really helped them. We made sure to show them images and give them measurements of exactly where those locations were, where we had that extra support put inside the walls. And then we also made sure that we had all the areas marked where they could not penetrate, like where we had the plumbing and the water lines, as well as some electrical that Nelson had run through the walls. So it really worked to our benefit that we had marked all those areas, measured them out, and had them ready for them when the roof started going up. Now, if you recall, I also talked to you guys about the back door and how I wanted something to protect it a little bit, since it was the one getting the most beat up from the weather, since our weather and our rain tends to come from this direction. And I shared with you guys an idea of having an awning and a small little deck in place right there so that we can get in and out easily, as well as protect that door somewhat. So before the end of the first day, we talked to the gentleman and we said, hey, this is what we have in mind for the back. Would you be able to do this as well? And since Nelson had already bought all of the supplies, since he planned on doing that himself, it was already here. All they had to do was put it together. The gentleman said it was not a problem, that they can do that too. And they did. They ended up doing that probably the second half of the second day. And what's great was we had the extra material that we needed for it, including the metal roofing part that we needed to cover that, because we went ahead and ordered it when we went to the Mennonites so that we can have it when we were ready to build it. And we were just glad that they were able to knock it out as well. At first, I thought it needed to be a little bit more elaborate, but once we had our front porch done and we didn't have any railings or anything on it, because honestly, it's just not that high off the ground, I didn't need to have the back section to be as elaborate with railing and all that stuff either. So we went with a very simple, smaller deck with 2 steps for it. And then, of course, the awning, which worked out perfectly for the back door as well. So we were excited that we were able to get both the front porch and the back little landing completed all in a couple of days and just knocked out, and something that we don't have to worry about, doing in the future. Now, neither the front porch or the back little stoop has been painted. As a matter of fact, the gentleman suggested that we wait at least a month for it to dry out completely, because the wood was already saturated. Whether it was because, it's outside in the supply house or outside here in the elements, morning dew, rain, that kind of stuff, it just really saturates the wood. So he told us to go ahead and wait at least a month before we even thought about painting the wood, because it would eventually shrink up. And we've already seen that happen, but we expected it to do so. So eventually, I would love to paint the wood, have it white, just like my inspiration piece. But for right now, it's just raw wood. It is pressure treated, so it's standing up just fine to the elements. Plus, by not painting it, Nelson has his stuff outside already. He's already working and he's cutting stuff. He's using his table like it was meant to be. And the extra protection from the wind, the sun, the rain has been really beneficial for us to continue working unbothered by the weather. So it's been wonderful having this little front porch. It's given us a place to sit down and rest. The kids absolutely love it. They love sitting out there playing. The breeze is amazing. And we just enjoy having yet another outdoor area that's covered that we can all have as part of our living square footage. So yeah, that is 2 more projects off the checklist, and we are so excited. We love how they turned out. We are so grateful we were able to find some help just in time. I'm able to get in and out of the cottage without struggling anymore. And, Nelson has his workspace. We have more outdoor space to, hang out if we need to. And I'm excited that, we're getting more things wrapped up quickly and getting things, moving forward so that when the baby arrives, I can actually get some rest. So that is it for the latest update on the cottage. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Let me know what you guys think about the front porch and the back little awning and landing. I'd love to hear your comments below. Don't forget, I'll see you guys over the weekend during our live online baby shower September 4th at 6 p.m. Central Time, where we get to tackle all of that back there. We are so excited. The kids are so excited every time I come with packages from the post office. They can't believe how many we received. I can't believe how many we've received so far. So we definitely can't wait to share all that with you all. Thank you all so much, and I will see you all in the next video. Until then, adios.